We have a very full room today, so I understand if you just stand up and move around to get more comfortable. It won't hurt my feelings at all. I'm Heather Shuart. I am a Red Hat, and I'm part of the SSE. That stands for Enterprise Sales and Services Automation. Hence why we lead with ESSA. This is a very long name for a team. Hey, come on in. Hi. Thanks for joining. So I've been with Red Hat for 5 years, and over half of that time was part of the sales organization. And so naturally, I felt like it made sense for me to talk about my journey in transitioning from very structured organization into a group of developers and project team members, and to try to describe those. So I don't like using the word methodologies. It makes it sound very formal. I feel like our team and culture at Red Hat is very informal, to the point where I wore my nifty hiker pack here. We'll get into why I'm wearing that today. It's all part of the journey story. But the other piece of context for you to know about myself is that I sit on the readiness and change management side of our project team. So what that means is we focus on the people side of change, typically communications, training, making sure, are they adopting the new tools that we're pushing out? The teams have worked so hard on these. Why are they not adopting them? Or great, they're adopting them a lot, but we don't have resources to support that. That's where we sit. All about people. So that's a little bit about myself. I am going to use the manual clicker on my computer to help me stay within my guardrails, because I tend to go a little all over. I'm going to try and keep it up. So I would love to hear, has anyone gone hiking? Yes. Has anyone planned for like a really big excursion hike? Backpacking? Okay. I am a poser today. I have never done that myself. This is actually my manager's pack and her boots. But it was important to wear this today because what I've heard from people that go on backpacking excursions is that there's a lot of preparation and planning that goes into it. There's a lot of things that I, as a layperson with this world of things, don't realize go into it. Every ounce of thing that's in your bag, you're carrying it all day. And when you're someone like myself, whose current state is pregnant, that very quickly is a strain on your back. So you want to be methodical in the way you approach that. Something I've found is that as a new person to working in Agile, there are these kind of loose practices or really open ways of diving into things, whatever makes sense for the team, right? Feeling a lot of pressure because both of the Scrum Masters I worked in are in this room. So hopefully you guys, I represent you well. But the importance of realizing that there are this vast toolkit of things to support you is that you're prepared, right? You know, is there rain coming? Is the weather going to impact my journey? Hey, come on in. So the importance of your pack is everything. Okay, so maybe we haven't gone on a backpacking excursion. That's a little extreme, no scaling and other things like that. But in your hiking experience, what are some things that you needed to bring along in preparation? Water. Okay. Boots, socks. Okay. Okay. Why are these so important? What are the critical factors for these items?
Keep you alive.
Keep you alive. Okay, we're starting with like the high level basic. I love it. That is a pretty good one. Live. Okay. Why else would you come prepared with these items versus just go traipsing in 100 degrees North Carolina heat?
They don't exist in the you can't get them where you're going.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like the unknown or lack of resource where you're headed. Exactly. Okay, so maybe we haven't gone backpacking, but there's some pretty critical and important things that we all can understand why we want to be prepared for these sort of events. So, by the way, the reason I love this image is because it just looks so nice, like a little background, like these beautiful flowers. Like, why would you not want to be a backpacker or a hiker? Like, this just makes it look so serene. So, my experience in talking with some people and researching people that go on treks not as strange as you would think. We're going to talk about that a little bit. In fact, part of my journey is a transition from the sales organization into the team I'm on today, is that this whole idea of a career shift is really, really hard. You get into this team of people and you're like, gosh, I know we're all speaking English, but we're speaking total different languages here, and I don't know the right choice. I don't know if I have what it takes. It was really humbling, actually, to come into this group. There are such brilliant minds of people that I felt very inadequate at standing next to. And I also ran into very interesting stereotypes that I did not realize. Anyone familiar with this image? Echo. Maddie? Yes. He's a salesman! Woo! Nobody likes the sales guy. So it was really interesting because I had not realized much an image like this still permeated into more supportive operational functions. I did not realize that there was this classic battle, if you will, between business and IT. And suddenly I felt like, but my allegiance is so much to what the business stood for. That's all I've known. But now I have these peers and I want to make friends with them and we need to get work done. How do you do that? Does anyone experience this kind of a career shift before? Yeah. Do you mind sharing?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been from operations and telecommunications, project management, software. So I'm quite a bit of a shift. But yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So did it feel very alive when you first made the shift? Or did it feel like, shit, what did I do?
Well, coming out of sales, it was nice, not, kind of having a steady paycheck. There was some unknowns there too. It was nice sometimes being able to put in the extra effort. But stuff that did translate over was how to talk to people and maintaining relationships with those. So that was a big help. But for the most part, it was the right thing to do. I don't regret getting out of sales.
Anyone else? I won't put you on the spot to share your life story, Kelly. I don't know your name. You're right behind Daddy, so I'll get you the name. Hi, sir.
Hi. I was the director of scholastic services and IT for a music education nonprofit, so I had to manage both perspectives.
Very interesting.
For a number of years.
Literally a translator, I feel like, what you were saying.
Well, yeah, and I had to manage both areas.
Yeah, and the priorities that they both had,
Right.
I'm sure. They didn't always magically align, right?
But because they aligned to me, my balance.
Yeah.
Respect, but important part of it.
Things are really
But ran out lunchtime. I managed to eat my lunch, go, get back, and I still had 20 minutes.
love it.
That's how easy it is to do really.
Nice. I promise we didn't coordinate this, but yes, no, rock the boat. Maddie, sorry.
Before I got into technology, I definitely felt
It's interesting that you shared that. Part of this image too represents my own biases I had about project teams. And all of a sudden I realized, oh, there's a whole lot of shit that goes on to pulling this stuff off. I had no idea. And I had no idea how political it could get sometimes. And that only further made me feel inadequate to what the challenge was that laid out. People I was sitting by, they were so competent, and they've been in these roles, and they seen the challenges. And here I was thinking, oh, I love business. I'm going to be of great use. And in reality, it was such a reversal for me, especially the world of the unknown and not knowing, are there a lack of resources available to me? That's kind of the next area is realizing that the journey I was on led me to continually iterate. I didn't even understand what the word iterate meant, and I was like living that out, right? That was a really, really unique time. It sounds like, and I'm sorry, sir, what was your name?
Ken.
Ken, thank you. Sounds like you had a similar experience in part of your journey where you were like, I'm this intermediary and I have that perspective of both sides. What do you do with it and how is it going to be received both for yourself, the people that you're leading?
Right, how do you manage? Volunteers were the central. Volunteers were the underpaid.
Yeah, the nonprofit world especially, yeah, you're like in a whole other world of complex. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, luckily here at RHAD, everyone is paid, so that's not on the table for us, but sometimes you wonder if they feel like story for another day. So expanding on this idea, one of the first meetings I had cross-functionally was with a project manager that sat on a project that rolled out to sales probably a year before I joined the organization. And this was like one of the biggest projects that RHAD as a company has taken on operationally in partnership with the sales organization. Or at least they said it was in partnership with us. The collective RHAD, felt pretty short on what we said we were going to deliver with that project. And it was interesting talking with this project manager because halfway through the meeting, I got the cat out of the bag that I was one of these guys. The entire demeanor of this person shifted. Their entire willingness to provide open dialogue to what I was asking about changed. And I didn't realize that I had uncovered a worm under this rock. I didn't realize that was even going to be an issue. But this person was so impacted by the negative feedback they received on their baby that it created this divide. Now, luckily, most people in my organization were not like this, right? Most people were like, we wanted to pick this person's brain forever. We're bringing you to every meeting. It's going to be great. So, but I would run into this on occasion, and it made me feel, again, like I was excited for this shift of a career. So, just as a point of perspective, sometimes this image can elicit some good things, not so good things. I don't think that any of us fit in the box of a thing. I myself don't look anything or resemble anything gorgeous. I thought about slicking my hair back and wearing a suit, but I wanted a little more approachable theme. Also, the theme relates very much to the idea of a base camp. So, the team I'm currently on has embraced this vision. The readiness team is and has been on a journey since I joined it about a year and a half. One of my team members, thank you, Olivia, put you on the spot there. He's coming in at an awesome time because we've made it to base camp. And I'm guessing that based on the poll earlier, folks may not be familiar with some vernacular. I was not very familiar with hiking. Making it to base camp at Everest really means the base camp of Everest is taller than the majority of standard peaks in the world. So just getting there is an accomplishment. And you have to stay there for 30 days. I was just talking to a coworker of mine this morning, Chris, about this. You have to stay 30 days at base camp for your body to acclimate to this new, the pressure, I don't know if you've heard of altitude sickness, that's a real thing. It is a real thing when it comes to Everest. So just making it here is such a big victory. Actually, most people don't continue on to the summit, which is the highest point of the peak, because making it here is such an accomplishment. So our readiness team very much identifies with this because we feel like we're at base camp. We've arrived. So we can say, okay, we can take off this heavy backpack, which is not mine, put it down, and take a breather for a time. Not a big breather because there's less oxygen and I'm acclimating to that, but we're going to get comfy for a little while. And I think that's really important. How many times have you gone through an organizational change? Many, everyone's face is like, oh yeah. How often are you given time to let that kind of like sink into yourself? How often are you like given the headspace to like, okay, in reality, here's what it means, or the next wave comes on, right? Like we're all in like agile development models, I'm assuming, at some level. How do we survive? How do we survive in that? We don't really know what we're in for. Maybe there's a lack of resources with this change. Hire a new person. How do we bring in that new person? It might be that Greco guy. So the importance to me of this journey that our team has been on is realizing and celebrating that we made it here, right? There was such a lack of structure and like standard process. There wasn't really a clear change methodology we wanted to practice. We tried many different things. Some went well, some didn't go so well. And we're just now getting to a place where we can offer a standard set of offerings to our audiences. Things like recommended communications folders compared to recommended like communications to your end users. Finding the difference between those two things. That's when you spell it out, it sounds so simple, right? But it's surprising how many people don't think about it like that. Because we all get so focused on past doing. Why wouldn't the world want to know all the details? So base camp, super important. Checking my time. Okay. So I really see parallels between this and the idea of scaling the Agile. To me, the journey that the readiness team has been on, and really our department, is trying to get people to understand what are we trying to do for Red Hat? Like, what are we really all here for? Okay. Red Hat as a company is here to like shake up the enterprise space. It's like some of our like oldest rooted things. I would argue that what readiness is doing as well is pretty different. You don't typically see teams that are focused on such an end user's perspective to change. A lot of times there might not be budget in the project for that. Nobody thought about it. It was an afterthought. We also have internal changes happening because we're trying to adopt this thing of Agile, and how do we marry that, like development inspiring of us? Sometimes no, but when are we getting all the features? We need all the features. I'm sure Ted was tired of that question. For the project we're on right now. But again, it's hard to tell people going on this journey, it's going to be great. We don't know what weather's coming. We could fall off the cliff in Everest, but it's going to be great. We're going to do it. Life. And then, we're going to have a lack of resources for water or whatever we need on the journey. So, it's something that I've observed in being a newcomer to this culture is I love the level of freedom that comes, right, the high that comes with these journeys. How can we facilitate bringing on new people, bringing in people that are new to the idea of to our company, to our apartment, and make sure that they feel that they are welcome, that they do have some of these bare minimum structures in place to feel comfortable. We are humans. We love our freedom. But most people learning want at least some structure to help define what they're doing. Now, lucky for all of you, I am a structure. I'm the tilt. I'm familiar with tilt. Personality scale, these are flat path. Flaw of tilt is that most people say, I'm a structure. That's what I need. That's the idea of tilt. Tilt is that you can tilt into other people's tilts. You happen to know your tilt, Natty?
I don't.
That's okay. Let's say Natty's an opposite tilt to me. He's a connector. Actually, I know that my friend Matt is a connector, so this is a real thing. What that means is, I'm a structure. I need an agenda. I need a plan. I need to start on time. This is my world. This is how I is a connector. I would love to talk to me about, the images you had in that presentation were great. And I'm so glad that you represented our team at this presentation. You rocked it out. Let's hope that he says that. And meanwhile, we're 5 minutes into the hour, and I'm like, that's pretty awesome. We're pretty good. Oh my gosh. Now, if I were to stay pigeonholed into my tilt, that's how that interaction. One thing I've learned about Agile is all about the relationship. It's all about trying to lean into these people and understand What do you need? What do I need? Can we find that middle ground? Can we work together? Can we create this cohesive unit of a group? And it shouldn't matter how new you are, and it shouldn't matter if you have new people starting next week and the week after. We want to create a unit that is welcoming and that can adjust to all these things. So, this is what I have notes because my experience when I first joined this team actually really aligns to this comment. So, I'm going to read it. We're going to try something called Agile programming. What that means, no more planning, no more documentation. Start writing code and complaining. Oh, I'm glad I have a name. That was your training. So, this is very tongue-in-cheek, obviously. The team had been doing Agile development, as I understand, prior to my arrival. But for me, as the new person, this is how this felt. I was like, holy cow. What world is this? I don't get it. There's no formal anything. There's no like handbook. But we're rolling with it. So the great thing about this was, while I was questioning if I belonged and I was missing all these structured elements that come with you stuff. Here's your code, you need what you live by. Have a good day. At the end of the day, like all those feelings of culture, like really, they pushed me. I had no choice. I was looking behind the curtain, right? I was seeing what went into these project teams, and it forced me to ask for help and be like, I just don't know. I'm owning this. And it was amazing to me. It was the first time that I felt like by doing that, people weren't looking at me like, she's not prepared, she's not on time, she doesn't know what she's doing. All of a sudden, no, I had these great people that came alongside me and helped find all of these things that I had never heard of before. I have this great image that I created in the word, like Wordle, the word cloud generator online, for those that aren't familiar. I literally copied the like Agile handbook thing that's online, not the manifesto, no longer like all the terms that are related to Agile. And all the definitions create this. And I was like, man, it's no wonder why I was overwhelmed by terminology and like all this vernacular. I didn't feel equipped to have conversations with people. Does anyone in this room confidently say they can define all these words? Not you and Ted. Not you and Ted, because you're struggling. You have a term extra, you're not allowed. Anyone? Yay! Okay, yes, because we're all in this together, and none of us knows everything. Basic, like, oh, duh. That's such a basic Sesame Street lesson. But how quickly we forget when we find ourselves in these professional worlds, we take ourselves so high. Our ego gets in the way. And so it was really refreshing that I found myself in this team of people that not only are they so smart, they're willing to help me come along on the journey. I can throw this like competitive crap behind me. Like, that was such an unbelievable moment for me that I still, like, when I tell people what I do, they're like, wow, sounds like you're a pretty good gig. And I'm like, I am. Aren't you jealous? It's great. I mean, we all have our days. But overall, like, the sentiment of having people that can support you with these things is awesome. We tried to do this stand-up for a while before our team kind of merged into IT. So we have like an operations focus group that represents more the business, and that was kind of disjointed thing since we've merged. And it's been good, I think, because everyone's in it together. But before that happened, we were trying to do stand-up because we're like, well, we're going to merge with these people, and this is what they do. Like, they have these daily stand-ups. And it felt so competitive to me. People were just reading off, here's what I did yesterday, here's what I'm doing, here's my blockers. It was so intense. We did not have a scrum master in the room. We had half the group was new. And there I am, like, reading all my things, feeling like I have to have more stuff that I see. So I expressed this to one of the participants. I said it's super competitive. And like, is that okay? Like, should I still be coming? I feel like I'm filling out the group. He's like, oh no, just be a chicken. Heard of this? Be a chicken? Okay. Good, I'm not alone. Some people, okay. I was running, what? And I literally pictured like the rubber chicken with like the comedy shows. So I'm like, I don't understand. And it was like, no, like you can just show up and not talk. Okay, millions of questions on like who decided to call that a chicken? I told you chickens are not quiet. My neighbor's chickens, I can attest to this. But the point is, you can show up and just be the chicken. Well, holy cow, that was such a helpful little answer. I don't know if I have chicken on the screen, but the point is, one of those little verbiages that would have been so helpful to know, and I could have avoided all of those types of feelings. So this story is like funny and cute to me, but the reality is it comes down to this. Meeting the people, finding these mentors. When we did merge with IT, all of a sudden I had access to these like Scrum Master guys. That's very intentional. Because they repeatedly were open to helping me understand, okay, I'm not losing my mind. It's okay. We're not totally off the rails. We got this. We can do this. And I've never been on a team that had a resource of a person whose job was literally the people. And creating that like symbiotic kind of semi-structural, right? Because you want to have iterations to make things better, and you want to have these lean coffee type experiences that we have here at RHAD. But, you know, the level of coordination that goes into what these guys do is so methodical. I had no idea. Working with people is super hard sometimes, but also differently of all these different types of personalities. So things like finding these guys win. Things like, which by the way, everyone Everest, they have summit coaches. So I've decided you guys are the summit coaches to go with our whole readiness team vision. You gotta have like a fancy fun name. So anyway, you have internal resources that aren't people, right? Things like RHAD Agile Day. This is something that RHAD chooses to put on because they see a value in this community. They want to bring people together from all different companies to talk about these ideas, to talk about what's good, what's bad, what's going okay, but we can get better at. What can I learn from these people? What can I learn from you? What did you learn today, Rich?
I actually learned a lot about how to instruct with Agile, how to interact more.
Okay.
That's from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else? What would you like to share what you learned today?
I learned the same.
Yeah.
In the same presentation the one before this, adult learning theory. That was really interesting. I had to treat. Yeah, so that was very good.
Cool. So do you guys feel like this is a day that's worth your time, worth the time to do it with this on? Like, yeah, and it's one day and all the days of work, like, so invaluable to use this resource and it's available to you if you're in the area locally. So, as I'm piecing these things together, it also sounded like I need to find people and places that can translate this thing of agile development. And over time, it kind of came together, and it's still coming together. But I realized that it'd be nice. I'm wondering if we could get more interdepartmental transitions, partnerships happening, if we could somehow find a common language earlier. I mean, somehow, we're not going to be able to, here's our glossary, right? We tried that actually in our department. We have a glossary term. The likelihood of people going and reading that thing, not how people work, right? People don't, how many of you read the manual when you buy a new toaster? Gold star. And most people don't. So what do you do with that? How do we make sure all these other people aren't burning their toast all the time? What do? You know? So I want to push everyone to think, like, who's new to this group? How do I even begin to explain that? Whether it's the structure, the people, what projects we're working on. what ceremonies to describe to. What do those ceremonies even mean? How can you choose to be participatory in those ceremonies or not? Some of these basic things. It's like, oh, duh. But again, just the newbie's perspective on joining these groups. All right. So the other story related to the work cloud, this idea of really challenging myself as a new person to realize I was holding myself back. I went to lunch. She's now our director. At the time, she was my manager. And said, you know, I feel like you have this spark that you're just kind of hiding, you're reserving. Why are you not letting it build to this fire thing? Why are you holding back? I was like, oh, great. The manager thinks, you know, come from the world of like performance review by definition is your day to day. And I was like, you know, I just feel like very inadequate. I feel like I'm not equipped to do this. I feel like other than my knowledge of the business, I don't know what I'm offering here. I don't write code. Those people are so beyond off the chart smart. She's like, no. She's like, why don't you just see yourself as a trailblazer? And mind you, this happened a year before my new manager came up with this whole team vision on like scaling Everest and that we're going to be leading the way and for all these little like trail, what does she call us, Olivia? Your but anyway, like this is the journey we're on, and I'm like, man, a whole year before my new manager came on and created this vision of basically being a trailblazer. My director gave me that. I mean, I'm not saying that was meant to be, but it's just interesting how the universe works. So I took that word and I realized, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to show up and just talk a lot, like I'm doing today. And what's the worst that's going to happen? People are going to laugh. People are going to take a nap. People are going to wait for the beers to be coming. But at the end of the day, I'm going to try it and see what happens. And so far, it hasn't let me down. I found some great people that have met me where I'm at. And we're getting shit done. We're making it happen. So, Agile, manifesto. Okay, first of all, not exactly sure how this name was decided. Love the name because it sounds so fancy. And like, who wouldn't want to be part of this? But in all seriousness, this to me is great because it breaks down like everything is here. And actually, part of reading, as part of like understanding this, getting exposed to this through Agile thing, I've also been exposed to this idea through Ted's whiteboard. So Ted sits on the end of a row in Fire, HQ form, in 12th floor. And he has this whiteboard that he used to have all of the manifesto written out. And to be honest, I wasn't going to stand there and read the whole whiteboard. But he's done something, he's iterated recently. He's changed it to only be kind of one piece manifesto at a time. And he's also incorporated some polling. So it's like, attention getter, oh, can we read this little thing in the manifesto? And I tell you what, it has taught me more about Agile than most other things that are available to us. Books, we got all kinds of like, watch this webcast, whatever. That's all great. But this little whiteboard on the way to the bathroom, I go there like every half hour now. It's taught me more about Agile than anything. And how much time does this take you, Ted? Like, of your life? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And look at, you're helping this new person. It's okay, Nicole, come on in. You're helping this new person like understand Agile culture and feeling like more equipped to have these kind of conversations. So equipped that I applied for a spot on Digital. So, to me, there are key words in here that I like to focus on more. For that fashion, I like color them very much. To me, these words, I'm going to read them so I don't butcher the delivery of their order. Interactions, collaboration, working, and change. Now I know, like, the bubbles are more important than the smaller font. Oh, I should have asked. I'm sorry. Is anyone not familiar with the Agile? I told you I didn't know, so I read it. Okay, cool. So, I'm by no means implying that we gotta like ditch the rest of the words in these bubbles. But to me, this is so helpful to like get my brain wrapped around. Because I asked myself, okay, how can we ensure that our interactions are collaborative in nature? If everything's about people in Agile, and in all these like teams, we have how many sessions that talk about the people side? The last session that you mentioned, learning from art. You're like, it's great. Like I learned some practical great like adult learning theory. All of that is about the people. Well, gosh, that's kind of an important value with this idea. So let's make sure that how we are interacting is collaborative and is coming off as welcoming. The other thing, how do we work together and accept the reality of any sort of change being at the center of what we do? So we iterate. If what we stand for is always making it better. Like Kelly said this morning, I want to go fast. For those of you that were here this morning. Gosh, going fast means that we want to like get feedback quick and incorporate it quick. What does that mean? That means we're living in a lot of change. How do we get comfortable with that? Quite a few people don't like change. Is anyone familiar with the short story, Who Moved My Cheese? Anyone comfortable to want to like think about it? Well, it's not. I need talking. I didn't put my water to like. So it follows these 4 mice in a maze, and they're each defined as like different personality sets. Snip, scurry, no particular order on this of these. Snip, scurry, hem, and hop. So the idea is that how each of these mice responds to change and what they need to be doing in the maze to keep finding the cheese. It's really interesting, actually. I would encourage you to read it. I think it's like 100 pages, but like huge font and pictures of cheese. So probably only like an 18-page book, honestly. Worth your time. I have a copy at my desk for those that would like to borrow it, check it out. There's also a YouTube video about it. The animation is kind of poor, but it gets good. Anyway, the point of bringing this up is each of us responds to change very differently. Some people love it, some people hate it. Some people kind of like, this is a little interesting and rock my world for a few days, but then I'm good. They're kind of more in the middle, right? How in a world of constant change do we get all 4 of these mice type personas on board? If I knew that, I would not be speaking here at Agile Day. Like, over level 1. But I just posed a question for us to think about as we think about onboarding new people, as we think about scaling the culture of Agile. How do we not get these people to feel like this is way different than what I'm used to? I really like the step 1, step 2, step 3. Here's what you get. No, I don't like it. Okay, back to the beginning. Obviously, fun is another methodology. You get the point, right? It's hard to change. So, back to the manifesto. How many of you, I've talked about new team members quite a bit. How many of you had new team members join in the last year? Okay, basically, like, you're a red hat, that is like, by definition, what working here is about. Every 2 weeks, we have new hire orientation. There's about 50 people in it, and that's just for North America in the United States. To say we are trying to get better at onboarding people would be an understatement. I think a lot of teams are focusing. But how do your teams currently onboard today? There systems or a process that you kind of put everybody through? Is it mostly HR led, or does your team decide we're going to come around this new person?
We have an HR orientation. We actually have very simple, basically a Word document. Every time we have a newbie, we add new stuff. Visualize it before they come, and it's like all this. Maybe we take
Awesome. Gold star. Laura?
Linda.
Linda? I was trying. I saw the L and the A. Right. Awesome. Do other people have similar kind of
No.
practices? Oh, so you guys are like truly the gold star of the company. I love that though. This is a great, like, our team has been trying to do this more with our new hires. Also, we try to facilitate like a social, like, meet people that are outside of our immediate team that we work with most. Do you feel like the new hires that you brought in have appreciated this effort from you guys?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Most.
I'm willing to bet it makes more of a difference than you realize. Joining a new team is like beyond intimidating. Joining a new company is like another level. Coming in and being part of a group of people that use big fancy words like manifesto, talk about intimidating. So some of these little things that I'm willing to bet didn't take a whole bunch of your time. You don't have your scrum master being like, your burn down's not on point for the sprint, stuff like that. I don't even know if that's what you guys do. But maybe Santana's laughing, so maybe they do. Anyway, so yeah, so just think about this. Like, what are your onboarding practices? What are the things you have to facilitate these? Avoid that word cloud intimidation. All right. Now, I debated about this shift, but it's part of my journey too, so I felt like it applied. So blazing trails, this word trailblazer that I No, there's actually an Everest by the numbers site for anyone that's interested. That's actually really interesting. This Himalayan group pulls all of the data together around for Everest. It's pretty amazing, actually. You know that there's 8,306 total summits on record, and 4,833 are the same, or the different people. Meaning, on average, people do this twice. Wow, it is right. This is interesting to me because the majority of people that shift careers is on the rise as well. Today's changing times, the way things are, I gotta go fast, things are changing, right? They have no choice really but to shift careers. So the obvious, I'm a woman, so I'm curious. Only 536 of those summits on record. When I read this, I was like, man, part of me feels like I need to figure out how to summit Everest just so I can up that number. But then I'm like, my life, the unknown, I don't know if I'm going to go summit Everest. Joking aside, though, this is interesting. I feel like this correlates with what we see in the landscape of business. Again, I debated about talking about this today because I don't have the numbers on Agile culture percentage. If any of you know of a study that speaks to that, I would love to nerd out and read it. But I wasn't aware of any such study that existed. I did significant researching. So, why are we going to talk about this today a little bit? Well, because I'm wondering, how do we scale the goodness of Agile culture to meet these people too, right? Are we creating a welcoming climate here with the things we can control, right? We can't control there's avalanches that happen in rivers, and that's terrifying for people. What things can we set up to make these women feel equipped to want to scale over? Likewise, how do we keep this image alive? Is anyone familiar with this image? Awesome. I wasn't sure. Okay, awesome, but also a little disheartening. But that's okay. You're going to learn. So, I was not familiar with this image prior to working with that. But there's a big push for like diversity across Red Hat, not just with women, but in all different diversity. And this story is amazing to me. So back in the days of computer programming, when computers took up a whole room, this is a computer, right? The skill set needed to do this was not in the hands of a lot of men, because a lot of the things were very familiar to women because they were on the telephone operating boards. So, these women, that coupled with, anyone familiar with the movie Hidden Figures? Also a book. I didn't book. Okay. So, now, different story, but related because what did those women do in that movie? Yeah, they were like, I'm gonna learn this. Because you know why? No, these guys are sitting here like, they're not gonna need me anymore because they have this big computer. I see a need, I'm gonna fulfill that need. I'm gonna make it happen. And that's the story of so many women when it came to computers and programming. When I hear that story, I'm like, heck yeah, I'm glad I'm in IT now. I am a woman in IT, and I'm still part of that journey. And I want my future children, I only sure we do it more than once. I'll keep you posted on how it goes. But like, you know, I want them to feel if I don't know if it's a girl or boy, but regardless if they're a girl or boy, I want them to equally feel like they can do whatever they want to do. And they can go and be amazing in the world. They can go scale Everest. Because Mom, I'm sure they'll be like, what about your life? But, you know, that's my vision for this child, right? These women, I don't know if they even thought about that level of depth, but for me as a woman, that's how I identify with this story, right? I identify with this journey. Because, like, we need all the voices, we need all the people. So, okay, I get a little, like, other image. I'm thirsty. All right. Not only did their journey pave the way for myself and others, but it's interesting, we're still on that journey today. So RHAD posted statistics around their diversity in the company. And at the time of posting, we had less than 25% of our associates that identified as female. And half of that population were in technical roles. Well, like, so I'm not really in a technical role in IT, but I'm not technical. But the fact that less than half of 25% of RHADers are women that are in technical roles blows my mind. What do we do with that? How can we make these women, these brilliant minds, feel like they're welcome to do this? If they can fulfill this need too. There was a PwC study that was done too of over 2,000 university students. So my brain goes to like, well, how are we training these people? How are we getting them equipped? And did you know that 78% of them could not name a woman of note, a famous woman that works in technology? They couldn't think of one. And that 5% of leadership positions in the technology sector today are held by women. They don't really have a lot of good examples anyway to follow. So I'm like, oh, but this picture and this image, this story is so great. But I don't have relevant examples today. This is a black and white picture. I don't even know what that thing is. You know? So, of course, there's other stories, right? This is just my story and how I relate to this journey of what it means to be part of Agile culture. But I would really argue that if you're a true agilist, you know, most live in a world of a combination of Agile, maybe some waterfall, maybe some other practices. To be a true agilist, hard. But I think that the more we can embrace these cultural norms of agile thinking, the manifesto, those highlighted words, I'm willing to bet that we can return to the idea that these women had, which was like, I see a need. Let's fit the need. Let's make it happen. It doesn't matter that I'm a woman. It doesn't matter that you're a man. We're just making it happen as a collective unit. I feel very strongly that Agile, the culture, the more I learn about it, you're not gonna be able to do that with other kind of RHAD methodologies. Right? This is the only one that I know that focuses on the person first. Kind of bold. I would just have that stick person. For all the lifeline with that, but I was like, I don't know, that's going to be received. All right, so I am going to get really close to the time. The point. So the realities of scaling. The realities of scaling a mountain, scaling this idea of a culture. It's tough, man. By the way, I'm from the Midwest, so I know a lot of you guys on vernacular. I meant to say that at the beginning. It's tough. Like, how do we have such busy lives? Gosh, my friend Santana here is like all 24 hours a day. I feel like I'm live UAT channel what's going on right now. It's important our regions are to get this thing, you know, like, and here she is at my presentation. Craziness of the life right now. Hopefully it's a good use of your time. But, you know, joking aside, like, gosh, I don't know, I'm one person. You know, again, I go back to how do we facilitate those new people? Most everyone in the room raised their hand when they said there's a new person. How are some ways that you can come alongside that person and act as like the mini coach, right? We're not scrum masters, we're maybe working on that. How do we come alongside them? And what did we learn today? Can we teach it to those people? Can we encourage them to be on this journey? You know, the other thing is, like, how does this culture scale up or scale out? Each of us may work at a different company. There might be some different challenges there. You know, maybe do we need to stay at base camp for a little while? You know, I mentioned the 30-day kind of like transitionatory period that happens for people. The journey that my team is on now, right, is we feel like we've made it to base camp, which is an accomplishment. Maybe you gotta hang there for a little while, and that's okay. Does that mean that you're not iterating? Heck no! It means that getting people on board and getting people like accustomed to this change is just part of the journey too. Now, I'm not saying base camp is where you want to end, but you know, life keeps moving. And the other thing is, does the shifting landscape of IT in the world, you heard Mike again, I keep bringing this up, but it was like, man, kind of at odds with what I'm talking about this afternoon. Want to go fast. Man, that keeps moving the target, doesn't it? You're like, well, we just made this shiny thing. It's great. Okay, on to the next. You're like, whew, exhausting. Development teams, like, how are you not burned out all the time? But you know, maybe is that the point? Not burnout. But to remain agile by the definition of the word, not the methodology. And embrace this change, even when it's uncomfortable to you. Even when you're like, I don't do change, I don't like change, I like this structured world, or I do change only in certain increments. Again, you gotta watch the mouse video on YouTube. Just don't watch the video material, just listen to the words. My eyes are just embarrassing. That's the whole thing. You know, how can we embrace that? How can we embrace the new person? How can we embrace this? Get it out to other people. And finally, I want to close with this idea. So, as one of my Agile coaches, Maddie, said to me one time, I was learning a new tool, Raleigh, that our team just uses as like we use a Kanban board. We don't really use it for like track and burn on things, but we use it as a way to collaborate with different work streams we have going. And this idea of start with what you have. And I didn't even realize this was like a fancy Kanban approach. That's just because Maddie thinks in this level of like experience that he just talks in this way all the time. But he was like encouraging me, he's like, just start filling out tickets, like little tiles in Raleigh. I don't know familiar with Raleigh. Oh yeah, so it's just simple. Anyway, you like fill out these little tiles. I was like, okay, and guess what? That was like the best advice ever. Such basic advice. Just start with what you have. So I would just say this. Consider how the teams each interacts with. How can we create positive onboarding? And then with our general interactions, right, with newcomers, stakeholders, business, you name it. How do we create this positive interaction? Because we do, like it or not, represent Agile culture. The journey that each of us are. Olivier.
Good, you guys. Or the Shuart is.
Yeah, so this is just my perspective, others may disagree, but, you know, maybe in the nonprofit sector, it'd be a different life of this experience, but, you know, like it or not, there are numbers that we have to answer to as in the enterprise, right? We have to answer to fiscal years, to quarter ends, and the planning that goes with budgets and funding of projects. It's not just an infinite pool of however long it takes to get to the place you want to be. So there is an element of planning. You can't just like throw it out the window. And I'm not saying that Agile does not have planning, but in the way that most leaders in the business are used to receiving it, such as by this date, you'll have these features. Okay, you'll have these features. I'm seeing a natural conflict of interest between those two ways of thinking. That makes sense?
But you don't have like product roadmaps beyond your backlog. I mean, roadmap that you can fit.
We do. We do. The challenge, in my opinion, speaking from like the lens of like the end users, is a lot of these people are told to plan a year in advance, 2 years in advance. That's really hard to provide that level of detail to you a year in advance. I would even say that people that provide that are outside of Agile, are giving them some like junk on a page anyway, because it's going to change anyway.
Yeah. Up there, there's some.
So it's hard. So like, yeah, how do you marry them? Is the question. Any other questions? My first time speaking at Agile Day. So, I would love if you would ask, how was this compared to others? No pressure, you want my feelings, you want me to go cry? I'm just wondering, how'd it go?
I don't know, I was entertained.
Well, we have another very exciting portion of our day. I will enforce the team, but I have heard that the drink tickets are given away at Raleigh, USA. So we invite you to go to Raleigh and
Perfectly segue to do what I was about
yes.
to.
So, and I believe we have.
So first of all, it's a great.